Chris,
Heath.
thank you for being a valued customer.
That's one of my favorite things to be.
I know, of course, because then you get NVIDIA newsletters and such.
Oh yeah, NVIDIA certainly makes me feel like a valued customer right now. We'll get into that in a bit. But how are you on October 30th, 2022?
Wait, you changed.
I did, yeah. That was a stealth change of clothes I did. I was just too warm. That was the issue.
I turned the furnace off. You're going to...
And now I will...
Now you will freeze.
Yeah, now I will freeze.
I would say I'm fine, but you'd be able to see right through that. My main gripe is I will never make it to Board Game Evo, also known as Daddy's Got Game. What's the Texas podcast?
DomeCon. Dad's on a map.
I'll never make it to...
Daddy's Got Game.
I'll never make it to DomeCon finals because... You know this. I'm not attending game nights as often as I used to because I have girl,
right.
and she also likes games. She's the part of the reason I have a video game to talk about on the show today.
Very good.
But it's affecting my board game statistics.
Yes, and as a consequence of you appearing less frequently, whenever you do arrive, I'm not like, okay, now's my opportunity to introduce the big new game. So you're not getting those repeat plays where you develop your proficiency and learn from your mistakes. I'm always throwing new stuff at you.
And the new stuff, the learning curve, it never plateaus into Easy Street. And so we wrap the 10-hour thing, and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad that I'm so rough around the edges.
I'm sorry.
I need to come to these things more. Oh, I can't, because if I do, I'll get mocked by my mother-in-law. Woe is me.
That is quite the dilemma, yeah. But I really enjoyed having you around for game day yesterday.
18XDX.
As the cool kids call it.
Does he not know that? Like, people call it like Mega Man XDX. No, Mega Man, Mega Man has used that in their vernacular. This
nomenclature, I'm just not very familiar with.
There's a game called
Mega Man 20XX.
Well, no, this is a Mega Man-like.
Okay.
It's a procedural Mega Man. But this is pronounced 20XTX.
There's just it's not even a silent D. It's a non-existent D that they throw in there.
Not a D, it's a T.
Oh, it's a T? XTX?
Like 6T, 7T. It's XT. Because that's the tens place.
Yeah, they don't do that with 18XX games. It's just, we're talking about big, nerdy, economic train board game, 18XX, which we played yesterday.
Which I'm eager to play again.
Wow.
And just never hesitate on the train purchases.
Right. When in doubt, buy more trains.
You'll never fall behind if you're always cutting edge.
True.
How are you, Chris?
I'm good. I am...
Did you get your creatine for the day yet?
I brought a protein bar with me. And I did get my creatine in at lunchtime. I'm excited for this podcast because I have a lot of renewed enthusiasm for video games that we will dive into.
You're finally allowed to play them.
Yes, I have joined the next generation, and I arrived kicking and screaming due to the circumstances that it required to break into the door. But I'll get into it right now. So, last episode was the preview. I was excited. I was going to try to order the new NVIDIA graphics card.
Because Jensen hadn't even started selling them at the time.
Right. They had announced them, but had not started selling them. Flashback to October 12th of this month. That was launch day of the RTX 4090.
This month of this show.
Yeah. We're talking like 3-ish weeks ago.
What is this show?
Oh, this is Mobius Tubes, episode 77, your favorite video gaming podcast.
Coming to you on that day that Chris said.
Right. A happy early Halloween, listeners. But anyway, Chris trying to buy a fancy new graphics card.
And succeeding.
Although there were many trials and tribulations. Launch day arrived. I was sitting there like a hawk watching the Best Buy website store page for the NVIDIA Founders Edition RTX 4090 graphics card, a ridiculously luxurious, expensive item.
Geek Squad chat box is appearing in the bottom right saying, "Can I help you find something?" And you Xing out of that, not to be distracted.
Right. Don't even limit my
It'll
attention.
reduce the number of refreshes per minute.
Right. And I need every frame counts when I'm trying to click order now on this thing.
Because that's how we lost out on the 3090.
Yeah, I was there day one for the 3080 back in 2020.
That's what I said, right?
Yeah, you said 3090.
What's the difference?
The 3090 launched later
Okay.
and was more expensive and more powerful.
Okay.
But anyway, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time arrived, and I was waiting for the buy it now, and it never appeared. I was like, okay, surely it's just like they're a couple minutes late. And I waited a couple more minutes, refreshing the page wildly, and I never saw the in-stock button. And then I back out, to the wider selection of, because multiple manufacturers produce this card. It's not just
AMD.
NVIDIA. No, they're NVIDIA's rival. We're talking about third-party manufacturers like Asus and MSI and Gigabyte. Like, not all...
These are companies that work for the company?
These are companies NVIDIA provides the specs of
these
their
are like
cards to.
Dell, Lenovo.
Yeah.
They make PCs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
NVIDIA designs the card, makes some of them, but also licenses it to other companies to produce on their behalf.
Do the other licensed companies also put it in a diagonal box?
No, that's exclusive to
then I know which one you got.
Yeah. Anyway.
Best Buy fail.
Yeah, it turns out there was a cool kids club that got like an early access link to the Best Buy Founders Edition cards that if you were in some exclusive Discord servers, you knew about. I was a pleb who knew nothing about this.
Right.
So the hotly anticipated Founders Edition sold out instantly. I never had a chance to buy it. Had I not lingered on that page like a fool, waiting for the Founders Edition to come into stock, I could have snagged these other manufacturer cards like the MSI or the Asus. But I delayed. By the time I realized what was happening, they were sold out across the board, and I was feeling like a major clown. It was complete deja vu from 2 years ago. And I was like, I cannot believe the same shit happened exactly the same way 2 years later. So I was really down in the dumps on that Wednesday, October 12th. But then the next day arrived, Thursday. I had, at this point, installed a special hot stock inventory refresh app on my phone that would give push notifications to me. And I got a notification that on Amazon, there was a MSI graphics card of the 4090 and I could buy it. And I hopped on there, put in my order. It went through.
Thanks, Bezos.
The only downside was, and that was a big relief, but it wasn't going to arrive until mid-November. So, at least I just felt, hey, at least I got an order in. If something happens in the meantime, where I can get one sooner, I can cancel this order. And
the cost has been sunk.
Yeah. Cost has been sunk. And then lo and behold, a week later, a week after launch, I was actually able to hop onto Best Buy again. They got a refresh of inventory. And I got a Founders Edition card. And it was scheduled for pickup on the upcoming Saturday. In person. They wouldn't ship it to me for whatever reason.
Precious cargo.
Precious, I guess so. So I showed up on that Saturday at my local Best Buy. Hadn't been in one of those in a long time. And I was like, okay, guys, I'm ready for this graphics card. I felt like a celebrity briefly in the most niche of crowds because the nerdy guy at the counter trying to help me with my pickup order was like, oh, you're the guy who bought the 4090. And I was like, yes, I am that guy. And he was almost as excited as me because he was like, oh man, I can't believe I got to go pick up one of the boxes and like cash you out.
What?
So then, yeah, he was pumped. I was pumped.
Man.
I was feeling very prestigious. So he goes to the inventory.
Yeah.
And he's like,
there seems to be a problem.
I'm not seeing it. I know we had one in earlier today because we received a total of 2 orders at this particular shop of the 4090. Me and some other person.
8,180's worth.
Oh, you doubled it. Yes. So lo and behold, they had received one of the cards that Saturday, and the other customer, my rival, had already visited the store and picked up his graphics card. So that Saturday, I went home After all this stress, no
Cardless.
cardless, which I would have felt fine, except
You still have the Bezos order in your back pocket,
at
right?
this point, I had canceled the Bezos
Chris!
order. I was so cocky.
Yeah.
I would have felt fine, like, oh, it's going to take them a couple days, except one of the Best Buy customers made this offhanded comment. He was like, oh, by Monday, you'll either get your notification that it has arrived or that your order has been canceled.
Yeah.
He had to let that slip in. So that skyrocketed my anxiety. But Monday arrived.
Your cortisol levels are hitting 40-90.
Exactly. Monday arrived. I did get one of those 2 emails, and thankfully it was the one that said my card had arrived.
Woo!
So I went back to Best Buy. I picked it up.
Post haste before your rival could be like, I want a second.
Yes, I actually received the email mid-workout in the gym.
Oh.
And then
Drops the sets, gets a talking to by the Planet Fitness staff.
really half-assed the rest of that workout, and then hightailed it to Henrietta Best Buy and got the card, secured the package, brought it home, and installed it, ran some benchmarks, looking good. You'd think that would be...
You glazed over installed it as if it were easy. I know that there was some side panel removal.
Oh, no, this comes later.
Oh.
The installation went without a hitch.
Okay.
Very smooth.
It clocked real nice.
Games are running phenomenally as one would expect. Everything's great. The card, massive. I knew it would fit in my case, but actually slotting it in, actually doing it, I didn't realize how little clearance there was. It was a tight fit, but it's in there. Feeling great. Finally, I'm home free. Nothing else could go wrong. I go to bed. I wake up the next day to major controversies on r/NVIDIA, where 4090s are bursting into flames. So yeah, this card I purchased, this ridiculous luxury consumer item. This is the ultimate first world problem. Completely superfluous, cutting edge piece of hardware that only a tiny minority of PC gamers are bothering to buy. They're apparently melting.
Right, because they don't have the VGAs.
It is due to the power supply adapter that ships with them. NVIDIA really cheaped out on the adapter. Apparently, if you buy a third-party one, the chances of melting go way, way down. But the soldering job on these NVIDIA, they're called like 12 VH power cables. This adapter comes between your card and your power supply. So you take the power supply cords that normally would go directly into a normal graphics card, and they've got a slot through this adapter. Yeah, it's shoddily made. The soldering job was really weak. Since this card is so big, this adapter is pressed up tight against the side of your PC case, presumably, which causes the wires to bend. The bending and the excessive heat causes melting. So far, I'm fine. I have since removed the side panel of my PC to prevent the bending that would happen, and I am waiting to hear what NVIDIA has to say about it.
So you're not going to run anything intensive?
Oh, I feel like I will. I have been, actually. To be continued. Will my PC melt? You'll find out by the next episode, probably. I'll find out when I get home after recording this. All right. 15 minutes into the show. That was Chris buying a graphics card. It's really cool when it works. The performance, I'd say it's like out of this world, but I was kind of expecting out of this world considering the price I paid. So it is meeting expectations. Everything's running at 4K. Everything's hitting that max refresh rate.
Have you shown it to a girl?
I haven't shown it to anyone.
Wait. This is like Pandora's box. You don't let anyone else see what's inside.
Well, I've had it for less than a week now, and some of that time was spent installing it. A lot of that time was playing board games with you.
Yeah.
So I don't have that many guests over. But no.
I like the idea that you refuse to let anyone else see it.
The plebs.
Yeah, your eyes only. Hooray.
Hooray.
Well, hey, order me one on Amazon.
Oh, yeah?
Once this adapter thing fixes, because I have plenty of space in my PC.
Yeah, you've got a big PC there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remove your old graphics cards, obviously. But surely you have the room.
I'll just solder it out.
Yeah. So we're not just a hardware show. Let's talk about software.
Ooh.
Video games.
Uh-huh.
You said you played something with Bailey?
Yeah, the case of the Golden Idol.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Everyone's favorite. Okay, so let's just rattle off every detective game they ever made. L.A. Noire, Return to the Obra Dinn. I was gonna say Sherlock Holmes, but what's the one where it's like Sole Suspect?
That is a game. Not one I know much about.
Murdered: Sole Suspect. Wow, they rated it much higher because it's chock full of Eurojank.
You can't trust those Steam reviews.
Okay, because it's got real bad crossing a beam type of puzzle platforming to get to the next clue. L.A. Noire does that on occasion. There's a whole case in L.A. Noire. You've never touched it.
Right.
But if you did, you know it's like gathering clues and reading people's faces, and then occasionally a racing shootout because it's a Rockstar game.
Right.
But then there's a whole level where you're like almost Batman Arkham Asylum walking through the sewers on rickety platforms. And that's what you really want in a detective game. But the case of the Golden Idol is more in that Obra Dinn camp.
Yes.
Where you have a journal, like a notebook.
This is the latest hot indie game that just came out.
Yes.
And I saw Lucas Pope even tweeted about it, saying how much he respects it.
That's how it ended up on our radar.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like Mad Libs.
Okay.
You have to slot in logic, puzzle, suspect, murder, weapon, where it happened type things.
Got it.
And it'll validate correct guesses and allow you to progress. And Bailey and I are having a great time. We dare not play it apart from each other because replay value is non-existent.
Sure.
It's a one and done.
That was the case with Obra Dinn as well.
Yes. Unlike Obra Dinn, Case of Golden Idol is not so ugly that Bailey can't play it.
Okay. I've heard the visuals were kind of divisive.
They are pixelated indie game art style.
Got it.
But so far, we've sunk like 3 hours and had a great time with the dinner party scene and the Little Mermaid Inn. That's a highlight. That's chapter 4. Ask me questions.
I do have some questions. So you've solved a handful of cases so far?
At least 6.
Cool. Are these like standalone cases or is there a through line?
There is a through line. Yeah.
Okay.
Surnames, characters.
Nice.
Yeah.
One of the mechanics I really dug about Obra Dinn was it was like the perfect balance of Obra Dinn's massive logic puzzle would only give you confirmation that you were correct when you were able to solve 3 things at the same time, kind of. And then it would lock in that, yes, you're right. With this Mad Lib solution you're trying to fill in, like how many blanks are there to piece together at once? And do you get any indication if you like correctly solve one of the blanks in the Mad Lib scenario? Do you know it's correct, or do you need to like 100% get it all right all at once?
There are 3 columns at the in your notebook. It's persons, places, and things.
Okay.
Let's just talk about the person. You have to ID the face of everyone in the chapter. Obra Dinn has 60 identities.
Yeah.
Each chapter of Golden Idol has 6 to 9.
Okay. More limited in scope.
You have to put the first name, last name for each of these faces, and only upon filling each of those blanks does it go. It'll just say that you like two or fewer are wrong, and until you fix those, you learn nothing. Check your results type, and you could do a hint if you
so
get
if you
lost.
have more than 2 inaccuracies, it won't even like tell you
that. It'll just say that you like two or fewer are wrong. And until you fix those, you learn nothing.
Okay.
And you could do a hint if you get lost.
But what does it tell you when there's more than 2 that are wrong?
I haven't had that happen.
Oh, okay. Got it.
It just quits the
you
game.
Can't even imagine. Uninstalls itself.
Yeah. So I'm having a great time. I'm constantly self-conscious of how like Bailey never beat Obra Dinn because it was so ugly. Not expressly that, but Bailey would be like, I don't know what to do next. Like, especially first person 3D world.
Exploration, right. Where this is strictly two-dimensional, right?
Her sea legs, pun intended, she can't navigate it. This is strictly 2D, storybookish, like dollhouse, I would say. You go to the next room and up and down in the cellar.
Maybe more accessible to a wider audience.
But yes, and I'm constantly like looking to the TV. I have one eye on the screen and then one eye on her, trying to gauge whether or not she's losing steam. Also, I can solve the puzzles faster, partly because of her like slow processing.
Okay.
So I'm like, I want her to go at her own pace, but if she starts to falter, I gotta keep her interested so we can finish the game together without her feeling like it's me and she's co-piloting. Because it's just a point and click, so she can manage. But I'm having lots of fun.
Nice,
because it's logic puzzle funsies.
Yes. Now, is this another game you'd apply your classic acronym to, DBYC?
Yes. Die before you cheat.
Die before you cheat?
Yeah.
Looking up information would really taint the experience.
Yeah. There is no let's play watching vicarious enjoyment to be gleaned.
Got it. There's no random elements to these puzzles. There's one solution, and once you know it, you know it.
Right.
Okay. Very good.
And the mysteries are not so hype that you don't want to like seek out people playing Undertale for the first time, Outer Wilds for the first time.
Sure.
Where I have done that and got spoiled by that.
Yeah.
This is not the case.
Very good.
So that was that. Let's assume we're halfway through.
Got it. And big recommend from Heath.
Yeah.
But
girls should like it.
Sure. Any fans of detective mysteries. If a listener out there is intrigued, would you push them towards this or Obra Dinn first?
Oh.
Since they are so similar, it sounds.
Oh, this.
Okay.
Well, just because it's an easier on-ramp.
And I've heard it's maybe the shorter game, so you can get a quicker taste, maybe.
Yeah.
And then if you're hungry for more, you've got the Lucas Pope Return of the Obra Dinn game to play.
Right.
Nice. Well, glad to hear. Yeah, I've heard a couple of the podcasts I listen to were talking it up. So glad to hear it also passes your seal of approval.
Oh, yeah.
Well.
I also played Mario Kart 64, as you saw.
Did I see that?
Yeah, remember I sent you that photo?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
That counts as a game.
You were flexing on people because your hand is broken.
Right.
So you were actually like kicking their butt?
No, that was my first time playing Mario Kart 64.
Got it.
It's difficult, partly because the draw distance is it's a pixelated mess in like quad view. The screen we were using was huge, but you could totally understand the limitations of the 64. Man, 150 cc's way back when was so fast.
Didn't mess around.
Yeah, you have to like brake. It's like a Forza game.
Okay. It's a sign of, there's all this inflation going around. 150cc of Mario Kart 64 is today's 200cc.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks, Biden. Yeah. So I had fun playing that.
Was that with coworkers?
Yeah.
Okay.
And lastly, we'll save 13 Sentinels and Outer Wilds for another time because I haven't gotten to the talkable moments yet.
What's the over-under on 13 Sentinels being finished by the end of this year?
Strong. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Maybe by next episode, Like what? How many more characters? Have you unlocked all the characters? All 13
Yeah.
Sentinels?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Then you're getting there.
Yeah.
Wait, even a tall, bookish guy with glasses?
Renya Goto.
Yes. Yeah, him.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then you're getting there.
Yeah.
I know this is the part of the show where we usually talk about games we're playing, but I want to talk about 2 games I'm not playing and why I've put them down. These are just first impressions. I played like 2 hours of these. This was in the week leading up to acquiring my new graphics card. I needed something to play in the interim. And I was like, all right, let's give these a shot. And there were things I enjoyed.
Oh, Frostpunk is
but
coming.
I put them down with intentions of returning to them. So first up, this is Chris bounces off strategy games for a couple days in a row. So I started with the grandest of them all, and like a funnel, I get to more and more approachable strategy games. I started with the big boy, the grand strategy game from Paradox. I tried Crusader Kings 3.
Oh, woo, yay. Did you name us after anybody?
Oh, yeah, you can name characters, but I was just going with the defaults.
Just stuck with like Theodora.
So this
instead
is
of Natty Ice.
This is a big historical strategy game released in 2020, set in medieval Europe and also parts of Asia and North Africa, where you control not a nation, not a country, but one specific person.
Like a royal family.
Yeah, some person of nobility. I played the tutorial and booted it up. I was a small petty king in Ireland, which is a good place to start apparently because it's a small island kind of isolated by itself. You can just deal with the local politics and not worry about the Holy Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
The very first tooltip that appeared set the tone, something I didn't know. It said, hey, welcome to Crusader Kings 3. This game doesn't have an end goal or an objective. You just play around and make your own fun, kind of.
Yeah, it's like Civilization.
I didn't know that. Is that the case with Civilization as well?
No, I was being coy.
Okay.
You can, you win a space victory by going to Alpha Centauri.
Right.
You win a diplomatic victory by everybody wearing your jeans and listening to your pop music.
That's right. And I was used to the Total War Warhammer games, long campaigns with endgame goals.
Surely you can win a domination victory in Crusader Kings 3 by everyone being under your rule.
Yeah, but the game doesn't thrust that upon you. It's up to you, I guess.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that philosophy. Just do what you will with the game. It's just like a big historical simulation. You play as an individual, a flawed individual with their own personality traits and quirks and religions.
With their own hypothyroidism on account of incestuous.
Yeah, and what's interesting is because the game takes place over this massive time scale, we're talking hundreds of years, your character will die, but that's not a game over. You also play as their lineage.
Their heir apparent, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess a big focus of the game, something you cannot neglect, is making sure you have a rock-solid line of succession under you, making sure you're like cultivating and developing your heir, making sure there aren't rivals to the throne, because then your kingdom that you work so hard to build up might get splintered when you die.
Making sure that the one that has myopia doesn't have as many family descendants.
Yes, because it's kind of a weird breeding simulator where traits are very...
Janice cranks the volume.
It's also, traits are very transparently passed down and inheritable, and you're trying to like breed a super child. It's a weird game. I also liked the part of the tutorial where it said, don't neglect, it's important to find a nice wife. Here, go shopping for one. And there's like this huge laundry list of eligible bachelorettes across Europe, and you can filter them by so many different criteria. Like, how good of an alliance will this be? How good are her stats? And like, you can do the holistic view, the best all-arounder. And there's also their opinion of you, so you don't want a wife who will hate you, because then she'll conspire against you and launch plots. So for this game that ostensibly is about managing your military and your economy.
Right. There's some total war in here.
There's some total war, but it's really like the historical nerds version of The Sims because it's really focused on character drama and the interpersonal relationships between everyone.
It's like Darkest Dungeon 2 in that way.
Yeah, because those characters in that game can...
You have the Slay the Spire battle mechanics, but it's really about the interpersonal...
And your characters being traumatized in Darkest Dungeon and getting like new traits and afflictions on them. Things like that.
Yeah.
Whether
or not they trust each other.
Yes. Same kind of dynamics in play here. But after
But you bounced off of it.
About 2 hours, I was like, oh boy. I was kind of looking for something to pass the time before my graphics card arrived. And this game is overwhelming. Oh my gosh. The learning curve, it's a learning brick wall. There's so much to comprehend.
That's why you got to play with a friend or a chat that can be like, you're neglecting your third cousin.
Yes. And the game is in real time. But you can pause it and issue commands. It was a lot to take in. I have never felt as overwhelmed playing a video game as this, actually. It's my first Paradox game, and apparently it's one of the more accessible ones.
That's a compliment to some developers.
Yeah. Not that I didn't like what I played, but I think I need to return to it when I can devote more time to it to actually grok what's going on.
It'll be funny if you return to it after you become a father and you have to manage your own household. You'll have new insights.
Yes. Maybe I'll be way more prepared. Cool. So I put down Crusader Kings 3. It was like, okay, that was too much strategy for me. You know what?
Hey, like as far as turn your back and never look back, Crusader Kings 3 is the jumping in point. You don't even consider 2 or 1.
Probably not at this point.
Right.
Definitely not 1. I don't even know. I don't think I've heard of anyone even talk about
that's
1.
a dwarf fortress.
Probably. Yeah. But I said enough of this grand strategy. Let's take a page out of Heath's book and play some bland strategy.
Thank you.
Shout out to last episode.
Yep.
So I picked up Frostpunk finally and booted it up.
Woo!
And let me tell you, strong first impression. You're greeted with this cinematic story trailer kind of explaining the state of the world and this encroaching ice age.
Mm-hmm.
Really dug that. The narration was great. I'm at the main menu and I'm just mousing over like the start game, and there's some like cool. This is just like
you like the UI.
I like the sound design of the menu. Every time you pan over an option, there's like a deep bassy.
You have like a 30 hertz boom.
Yeah, I was sucked in by the game's aesthetics, and it grounding me in its environment. The issue, and I started playing, and I was having fun the early just couple hours, making my first decisions. Yes, I put the children to work.
Oh, okay.
And
always a good strategy.
The game almost immersed me too much.
You started feeling sympathetic?
I was feeling...
These icy fingers?
Just as my people were experiencing the dread of surviving in this inhospitable frozen wilderness, I was too, almost like getting...
Just turn on your 4090 and heat things up.
This was right before it arrived.
All right.
But I had this low level of ambient anxiety playing the game and I think I could power through this when I return to the game at some point. But it was stressing me out, and I wasn't feeling that right now. I was looking for a quick dopamine hit, and Frostpunk was giving me more dread than dopamine. So I put it down. Not a knock on the game. I like what I played. I had just researched my first scouting balloon.
Yes.
Blimp.
Oh, essential.
So I could start dispatching parties to go find other survivors.
That really opens it up.
Okay. So maybe I was just getting to the good part. But I liked the resource collection.
Yeah, if you don't play, if you don't even get to Winterhome, you haven't even really played it.
Okay. Yep. I have not.
You just need to turn off the melancholic music and turn on 13 Sentinels mech battle music.
That might be the change I need. That'll brighten my spirits. That'll increase my village's morale a lot, I think. Or hope. Is that the statistic?
Both.
Both are in play.
Well, there's morale and then there's discontent.
Right.
Or excuse me.
Hope and discontent.
Hope and discontent. Yep. Whatever.
One question. You're not supposed to leave your generator running all the time, right?
Ooh, well, what's the temperature when you first start the game on day 0? It's negative 20?
It might have just been like -4 Fahrenheit.
Sure. If you leave it at that, your residents will only fall sick at night.
Right.
Because even with tents, they will be chilly at the starting temp. So if you're playing on normal, you'll get it anywhere between 0 and 4 people sick.
Yeah.
That's why you need to turn on the generator at night, so that 0 people get sick. During the day, everybody's working, keeping warm. You can turn the generator off and save up on that 200 coal.
Yeah, okay. I started to do that a couple days in.
Yeah. And then just turn it on back at night. And then once the first temperature drip falls, always keep it on.
Got it. Okay. Hot tip.
That's how you min-max your coal.
Yes. I was also getting a little nervous that I wasn't doing a good enough job min-maxing, so maybe that stressed me out.
Yeah, don't reassign. I think just put people on a pile, fast forward right to 17:30 o'clock, and then think about how much wood you have for medical post, tents, cookhouse. Get it fired up sooner rather than later.
Okay. Thank you for that.
There's so many ways to go. I love Frostpunk.
Yes, and maybe someday I will share your enthusiasm for it. But that's enough about games I'm not playing. And the week before the 4090 arrived, I did finally find the strategy game that occupied my time. And I had to get even more, limit the scope even more.
The Hostess minigame in Yakuza again.
So I started playing a little game called Monster Train.
Woo! We've talked about this once, or it was like a
mentioned in passing,
like a Mobius Tunes song from it.
No way. So Monster Train
is this is a mobile game.
Well, it is on mobile. That's true. I'm playing it on Steam.
Okay.
This is
Slay the Spire.
This is a very much in the vein of Slay the Spire. Ooh. It's a deck building card game. From what
Look at these Hearthstone cards.
Oh yeah. This game, very derivative.
Hearthstone on the bottom, Slay the Spire on the top.
Right. Even before you mentioned that, I was going to say something along the lines of this game is about 60% Slay the Spire, 35% Hearthstone, and like 5% original ideas. So it's not reinventing the wheel or anything. And
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, it's been out for a couple years. And from what I had heard about it, I was very much expecting it to be like the Aldi's brand of Slay the Spire.
That's strong.
Like the poor man's version of a game I already had and enjoyed. So I never felt compelled to check it out. But I've done like 6 runs so far, put in about 10 hours, and I do really dig it. Way more than I thought I would. I think it's on an even footing with Slay the Spire.
I can see that.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be a shallower experience, but let's tell you how it mixes up the formula just a little bit in some ways I appreciate. The main thing differentiating it, so this is a tactical card game where the story justification is you are the last denizens of hell, trying to keep the last pyre of hell, like this little flame, keeping it alive that's powering your train, your titular monster train. And angels and deities are trying to arrive on your train and extinguish the pyre, which just means knock your pyre's health down to 0. And then you lose the run. It's a roguelite game where you assemble a deck on the fly every time and then start from scratch when you win or lose.
Where is the train going?
Oh, there's a story justification for where it's going.
Hades' house?
I think it's trying to go to like the center ring of hell to reignite the flames or something.
Oh, to keep it perma-lit. Okay.
Yeah, because I guess in the opening cinematic at least, hell is mostly frozen over. Very Frostpunky.
Very.
Cool. Yep, it's a fun strategy game.
How does it mix it up?
Here's how it mixes it up. Your train has 3 levels to it, and it's almost like Slay the Spire combined with a tower defense game. So the angels that you're going to fight, they arrive on the bottom rung, and you can deploy some units on the bottom rung, and they will bash each other one time, and if the angels survive, they move on up to the second floor. And then if they survive that, they move up onto the 3rd floor. And if they can survive for that 3rd time, they make it into your furnace room and start damaging your pyre. If the pyre gets extinguished, you lose. So in Slay the Spire, this game's main contemporary, there are no units you ever deploy. It is just your RPG character who you play cards to attack and or defend with. This is a game where it grabs that Hearthstone inspiration. There are like lanes that have units you deploy and they bash up against the enemies. And that's kind of like the tower defense component where you are assembling up to 3 lines of defense. And it's up to you whether you like go all in on stopping them on one floor or kind of hedge your bets and have 3 weaker floors that you try to maintain. So that's interesting. It has much more of a positional element than Slay the Spire ever did, where even the different order that you'd put your units in, whether they're in the front or the back, that's very crucial because you want your defensive guys in the front because they're taking all the abuse, and your glass cannon types, your damage dealers, safe in the back. They can still attack, but your front rows have to die before you start to take damage with the guys in your rear. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah.
But the positional aspect is one extra thing to think about. I've been enjoying that. I found the game overall easier than Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire kicked my ass a couple times before I ever got my first W.
What with the Frost boss?
Yeah, there were some difficulty spikes in Slay the Spire. Where this, I have yet to lose. So maybe more accessible. Although I did recommend this game to friend of the show, Justin, and he's having the reverse experience, where the Slay the Spire clicked with him more than this game did in terms of the difficulty.
I mean, this game needs a big whale in the beginning.
Maybe. My favorite thing about Monster Train, the one thing that I think it does maybe better than Slay the Spire.
Yeah.
So these games, to win them, it's all about hunting for synergies to exploit.
Yeah.
Like where can I feel like I'm almost cheating? Pulling off combos, the devs probably intended you to, but it feels like you're getting an edge over the AI. And this game is exploitable as hell. And the one thing that is making me give it that descriptor is that the way you can upgrade cards. In Slay the Spire, there's a mechanic called resting at a campfire, which you'll encounter every once in a while, and that will let you upgrade one of your cards in your deck, and you'll get a superior version of it. But Slay the Spire, this is very static and limited. All the cards that existed in Slay the Spire have just their quote-unquote upgraded version. So if you take, a strike card and upgrade it, it becomes upgraded strike. All strike upgrades are the same. Where the upgrading of cards you're able to perform in Monster Train are much more modular and dynamic. So there is not just a static upgraded version of cards. No, cards have these up to 2 slots that can accept this random assortment of upgrades. So once in a while, you'll visit shops on your path through hell in Monster Train where you can buy these modular upgrade slots or gems for cards, and you can mix and match them, perform multiple upgrades on cards, really custom tailor what a card will do. And that's where the synergy exploiting is maximized, I feel. When you take a unit you deploy who they have an innate ability where it's called sweep, where they attack
everybody on a level.
On a level, exactly.
Yeah.
They'll hit all opponents on the same lane as them. But then you say, okay, that's pretty cool. That'll dish out some damage. But, wouldn't it be way cooler if I went to a store, upgraded that particular unit card with multi-strike? So now not only is he hitting everyone, but he's hitting everyone multiple times.
Yeah.
that becomes like exponentially better.
Yeah.
And then you would take that same card you've already upgraded, visit another shop, apply like a status effect or like a debuff that you apply every time you hit someone, and now you're hitting everyone multiple times and applying a debuff. The synergies are out of this world, where Slay the Spire never gave you that flexibility. So the ability to really custom tailor your cards is commendable. I like that a lot about Monster Train. Otherwise, it is hitting the exact same dopamine synapses in my brain, exactly the same way Slay the Spire does. The Venn diagram of Monster Train fans and Slay the Spire fans, it's just a circle.
Yeah.
These games are doing the exact same thing, providing the same pleasures. It's just this one has a little bit more positioning to take into account and a little more custom tailoring of your cards. And man, it is hitting it out of the park for me. I can't wait to keep playing it.
And the art style's not ugly like Slay the Spire.
You're right. It has mobile game aesthetic to it. It looks like
For better or worse.
For better or worse. I mean, the animation work is clean. It looks professionally made. It doesn't look amateurish in any way, but it's not gonna wow someone, right? And yeah, Slay the Spire, those visuals grew on me, I guess. I feel like Slay the Spire has more of its own style, where this looks more generic. Even though it might look higher quality.
Nidhogg 1 versus Nidhogg 2.
Perhaps. Yeah, that's somewhat apt, that comparison. So yeah, that's Monster Train. I certainly recommend it. It is not the Aldi's version of Slay the Spire I thought it would be. It is just...
It's the Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
No, I was trying to search for something better. Whole Foods.
Oh, one last thing.
Boston Market.
I almost forgot. It has some really nice variability because you don't just pick your character class at the beginning. You choose 2 different factions of hell that you mash together for the given run.
This is just Smash Up.
It is straight out of the tabletop card game Smash Up.
As soon as you said the synergies are out of this world, I was like, yeah.
Yes. So there's a lot of there's like 5 or 6 different factions that you can combine at will. And that adds all sorts of replayability to see what new synergies might exist. And yeah,
this sounds fun.
It is fun. I'm surprised all these years later, you haven't touched Slay the Spire, have you? It's a total Heath game. You'd be into it.
All right.
Do you disagree?
All right. What do I play it on?
This game is available on iPhone or Steam.
No, Slay the Spire.
Same. I mean, these are very low processing power demanding games. They'll run on anything.
Yeah. I will play it.
I shouldn't make fun of you. Like, I will play Death Stranding someday. It hasn't happened yet. But, yeah, big recommend on Monster Train. And that brings me to the final thing I've been playing. This is it seems like it wouldn't be the type of game I bring to the show, but this is where I have a confession to make, Heath. I don't know if we've ever mentioned this franchise in the entire 77 episode run of Mobius Tubes, but this entire time, I'm a closeted Gears of War fan.
Oh, yeah.
I've played them all.
Nice.
Never cared to mention them for whatever reason, but I'm in the middle of playing Gears 5 right now.
The newest one.
It is the newest one. Also, they dropped the Of War. That is not in the title of the game.
Yeah, they're like Fast and Furious.
Oh, yeah? What is it called now?
Oh, you actually want to run that? All right, everybody, let's do it. Fast and Furious, then Too Fast, Too Furious, then Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, then Fast 4, or no, is it Fast 5?
Oh.
Furious 9. This is, you're gonna, yeah. All right, let me just, The Fast and the Furious, followed by Too Fast, Too Furious. The fourth one was called Fast and Furious, then Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7.
Wow.
F9 and Fast X to be released next year.
I didn't know they were so all over the place with these naming conventions.
And Marcus Phoenix goes, I'll have some of that. No, there is no Marcus Phoenix in Gears 5.
He plays a very limited role.
He's a Jedi ghost.
He's mostly radioing you over the phone.
Okay.
As like a mentor / intel provider.
Did you get what I meant by nice?
Surely that's a quote from Gears of War at some point, right?
Yeah, you got it.
You sounded like a Gears character. But yeah, I'm playing the latest entry from 2019. I don't have...
what are they called again? Crouch shooters? What are they called?
Oh, cover-based
Bash
shooters?
and smash?
Oh, stop and pop.
Stop and pop, thank you.
I think is what you were looking for.
Thank you.
This is the franchise that maybe popularized the concept of like chest-high cover everywhere in the environment.
Yes.
That your character will like magnetically slam into.
So this is nostalgia for you.
Yeah. I realized, I haven't played a Gears of War game since the inception of this podcast, but I've played them all, even Judgment, which I low-key really like. I think...
Which do you like better, Judgment or Judgment?
Gears of War Judgment versus the Yakuza.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll need to play Judgment to comment on
to make
that.
A judgment.
Oh, God.
Yeah!
But yeah, this is a franchise I've enjoyed, despite its reputation as a very bro shooter.
Yeah.
But I'm playing the campaign. I am about 2/3 of the way through.
Right, because you're not a multiplayer guy.
Yeah, I maybe sometimes mess with the survival mode, but Gears competitive shooting does not appeal to me at all.
You just like the chainsaws and the...
Yeah, the torque bows.
Sure.
The drop shots.
Sure.
I'm just naming weapons.
Okay.
Yes, I'm majority of the way through.
Coltrane is back.
He's actually not... No, he appeared briefly.
Okay.
The old crew, the cast of characters from the original trilogy, take a back seat in this new era.
Uh-huh.
Let me tell you that this game it's a Gears of War game. It's treading very familiar territory. So not a lot of innovation going on here, except it's funny. Let me tell you about the couple ways that this 2019 video game
broke new ground,
is trying to modernize itself.
Uh-huh. And
it does so in the most tepid way possible.
Active reload.
That's been a staple forever.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite parts. The fun little mini game you do in Gears of War to reload your gun.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised hasn't been like stolen.
Why isn't it universal?
Else.
Yeah.
It's fun. It adds just a little bit more depth.
I would like shooting in Mass Effect if it had that.
Yeah, a little mini game. Yeah, timing thing.
Don't let me throw you off. Go back to
right.
where you're modernized.
So Gears of War, it's known for being this super linear, story-based shooting campaign. It was very common in the Xbox 360 era. It still uses that approach, but guess what? Since it's now a 2019 video game, it tries to introduce open world elements. So Act 2 and Act 3 of the game, it's trying to say, no, we're not linear anymore. Here's this big skiff vehicle we give you, and it's a big open playground. Go explore, tackle side objectives. Gears of War's never had side quests before. And, do things in any order you please. And it is the most surface level iteration of an open world game I've ever seen. Like it is
the way Halo Infinite does it?
I don't know. I haven't played Infinite.
What are you talking about? You haven't played Halo Infinite?
Not its campaign.
Okay.
So I can't comment on any of its open world aspects.
Okay.
Just the competitive multiplayer is sweet. But yes, you're dumped in a big open space that has nothing to do in it. There's nothing to do. Yeah. You're just traversing blank, empty stretches of terrain. And there are, to its credit, a couple optional side activities you can do, but you just kind of like pull up to the main door of this linear
stronghold,
section. Yep. And you walk in the front door on foot now because, of course, your vehicle can't fit in. There is nothing to do in the open sections. It is just filler. The nicest thing I can say about the game going open world is it's a nice palette cleanser between your shooting galleries. It's just there to like give you a breather, I feel.
Like Final Fantasy 15?
You're naming all these games I have not played.
Remember the you know how the boys drive around in the car?
I know it's the road trip Final Fantasy game.
Yeah. Whatever.
But yeah, it's a barren open world. You might as well have just cut out this vehicle section in between, and it would be a linear Gears of War game all over again. I feel like it's trying to apply modern game sensibilities where they just don't fit in a linear campaign game. The other thing they tried to do was introduce RPG elements and persistent progression. So this is a game where there are no...
Like Assassin's Creed.
But once again, just like they had tried to adapt the open world, this is the most half-assed, innocuous approach to persistent progression and leveling up. So it's not, there are no skill trees. Well, all right, let me take that back. It's a shooter, right?
Faster reloads.
Your characters do not level up. They've never leveled up before. They aren't acquiring new skills or like getting bigger health bars.
Cooler melee takedowns.
That would feel very weird in a Gears of War game. They've given you a helpful AI companion named Jack, who like opens doors for you and can fetch ammo. And you can level him up, not your characters. You can make this AI companion a little bit faster or like a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more stealthy. I feel like you can completely ignore the entire RPG element system of finding components in the environment to upgrade Jack. You can completely ignore it and finish the game no problem. Like he is a minor variable in these battles, but they decided to introduce this big Jack skill tree that you can interact with, and sure, it's kind of fun to level him up, but the whole thing feels so superfluous because at the end of the day, you beat combat encounters by being good at the shooting gallery, not by how upgraded your Jack is. So yeah, it's Gears of War all over again, but there's big empty sections and you can spend some time tinkering with your AI companion's stats. And other than that, the shooting is as satisfying as ever. And
how long to beat it?
It seems longer than the other games in the series. I probably put in 12 hours so far, and I'm getting close to the end.
Yeah.
I bet I have another 4 to 5 hours to go. That would be my guess. So yeah, that's Gears 5, a game that I like because I'm a Gears of War fan.
Great.
Yep. And with that, would you like to take a break?
No, I want to cycle back to Frostpunk.
Okay.
I remembered something. You said that the falling temperatures and child labor and just I zoned out a little bit, but I feel bad for these people in my settlement.
Sure.
Putting them to work in the icy outskirts far from the generator. If you want to avoid that anxiety,
yes,
you should play I'll give you my copy of the DLC.
Oh.
Which is called, what is it called? Like Autumn something?
It's like a new campaign, right?
It's you play as the like foreman of the guys that are building the generator.
Oh.
And you're still gathering resources to like make it.
So this is a prequel.
Yeah. You're like constructing pylons and doing stuff, and the decisions that you're making are not, do we put sawdust in the food to extend rations, or do we triage the ill to? I mean, there's still that to some extent, but it's mostly labor laws.
Okay.
Do you cut corners safety wise to get this generator built faster so that you have it in time for the ice to form?
It sounds like the situation is far less dire.
It is, but it still has the ticking clock.
Okay.
The last autumn, yeah. So construct the generator before the storm hits. So it's still all the fun strategy city builder, but you don't have to worry about the ice setting.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing to say about Frostpunk.
That developer supported Frostpunk quite well. With
Yeah.
lots of extra content.
Yeah.
Commendable.
Anyway, I'll shove that into the Frostpunk stuff.
Sure. All right.
Let's move on to the news.
Yeah, but first, I'm going to shove a protein bar in my mouth while we take a break.
And we're back. Chris, I have only one game tangential news piece to discuss with you, and that is Henry Cavill's departure from The Witcher. He's no longer going to be Geralt after season 3.
Oh.
You know who it is?
No, this is breaking to me.
Liam Hemsworth, the lesser Hemsworth.
Wow, that seems like a big deal.
It's not, because I always thought Geralt was deep down Australian, you know? So he's like, I gotta put a shrimp on the barbie.
Did Henry Cavill state a reason?
Some people speculate it's because he's just too busy now that he's back to being Superman.
I see.
Other people say that it's because he wants the show to be true to the source material, and the showrunners don't care.
Yes, it's definitely deviating from the books. And
which upsets you.
Here's the thing. I'm a very big Witcher fan.
It's your favorite
but
game.
Really only because of Witcher 3. So I've read all the books, and I like them. I'm not a staunch, diehard fan of the books, and I don't cringe that they deviate from the script, because I like the books and I like the show, but I only really love The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, the video game. So they can mess things up and mix things around, and I don't care all that much.
Sounds like that. Yeah. Okay.
But I am shocked to hear this. Like, Henry Cavill, it really comes across how much he likes the games and the books.
Yeah.
And he seems like just the perfect fit to play Geralt. And I imagine that this Hemsworth character gonna have a tough time filling those shoes left behind by Henry.
Especially since those shoes were forged. I don't know. Yeah, agreed.
That's a tough position to be in.
Mm-hmm.
When you first said he was leaving the show, my initial reaction was, well, I guess the show's canceled. But it sounds like Netflix is going to try to string it along, huh?
Right, with this new recasting.
Yes.
Hopefully Henry can come back as a character in the Queen Maeve. What's the card game called?
Thronebreaker?
Not Gwent, but yeah, Thronebreaker. Hopefully he can come back as guard number 5 in Thronebreaker Queen Maeve's storyline.
That's funny. And not that this is news story per se, but I'll just throw it in here. I did finish, since we're talking about Netflix adaptations of CD Projekt Red games, I did finish the Cyberpunk Edge Runners anime on Netflix, and that slapped.
Yeah.
It was great all the way through. Big thumbs up.
Way better than the manga.
I'm
calling Cyberpunk 2077 the manga.
The manga, yeah. Cyberpunk is like a tabletop role-playing game, first and foremost.
Oh, yeah.
So that
Red?
would be the manga? I think that the name of the universe is Cyberpunk.
Yeah, but isn't the tabletop version called Cyberpunk Red?
Oh, maybe. That just might be something I do not know about.
Red. Oh, maybe the book is... No, hold on. Is this completely unrelated?
I mean, you were right about something.
Red is the latest edition of the... Yes. Newest pen and... Oh, okay. It's a real thing, but it might not be...
The original?
Who cares?
Okay.
That's it for my news.
Cool.
And that's it for the news.
That's it for the news? Surely there's something newsy.
I was looking for it. I mean, Silent Hill is proceeding in name only.
Yes. Let's talk about that. You jogged my memory of something. This weird trend.
Iconic pyramid head figurine now available.
It just coincidentally, 2 big video game companies just unleashed a barrage of announcements. They were not content to unveil one new video game, but they announced an entire litany. So yeah, one of them, Silent Hill, Konami. Konami's back in the game of making video games, and they announced so many different Silent Hill projects.
Yeah.
You're up to date on this. There's Silent Hill F, the Silent Hill 2 remake, a weird, almost, one of them is like a meta game kind of thing that you sign up with an email account that you can play with. Silent Hill's coming back in a big way, which has
fans leaning in but not putting their full toe in.
Sure, right. It's just odd to me that Konami wouldn't want to test the waters with one new project, but instead have so many projects
they're
going
doing the
concurrently.
Riot method of just unload projects and see if one sticks.
Yeah, it's weird that they greenlit so many things all at once, and at the same time, we just talked about them. CD Projekt Red, they just announced a ton of projects. They announced a new trilogy of Witcher games. They announced that they will do another Cyberpunk game. They announced, and they gave rough dates for all of this. They announced that they're working with other developers to license out, help them make even more Witcher games. There was a crazy news article about it. CD Projekt Red is also opening an American-based studio, not just in Poland. So that'll help with them with this very ambitious suite of games. But yeah, it's just weird to me that these companies aren't content to announce just one thing at a time. Especially
long gone are the Elysium days of a game company would release a game and we would play it, and then maybe another one would get made.
Yeah, it's just these announcements almost seem really unnecessary to me, especially since the first output we'll see out of any of these announcements is still years away. Why even bother announcing things beyond that? It seems ambitious, optimistic, maybe?
Both.
Yeah, ambitiously optimistic. But yeah, that's all the news that comes to my mind.
Which means we will be moving on.
Sure.
To the lightning round.
The lightning round.
I don't know.
Well, I've got a discussion topic.
Okay. That's right.
Yes. I've got a broad, meandering discussion topic that we can just throw our thoughts at the wall and see what sticks. I just wanted to do a state of the video game union address. I wanted us to check in and just ask ourselves, hey, how are we feeling about video games right now? The industry, the latest goings-ons and happenings. We're 2 years into a new console generation. How are we feeling about this console generation? How do we feel the health of the industry is right now? And then just personally, are we feeling very well catered to? Do we like what the video game industry has been outputting recently? Do we feel like our tastes are being met? Both. I want us to comment on the industry as a whole and ourselves personally, how we're feeling, and just do a check-in. Does that seem like something you can vibe with?
Yes.
Very cool. So I threw a lot of questions at the wall, but the first thing I wanted to hone in on was, and this is kind of funny coming from both of us, but how do you feel about this console generation?
I think it's one of the, it's in the top half for sure. When I compare it to the previous console generation, I think of, and when you say not exclusive to consoles, right? We're including PC because right. I did the bulk of my previous console generation off console.
Sure. Yes, I'm talking about since the fall of 2020 when the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X launched. since that point in time, we're 2 years past that. How are we feeling? Big, important caveat to throw in here. Neither of us own either of those consoles.
That's right.
Which will color our experience with them, obviously. Here's the thing. To me, it almost feels like a phantom console generation. To the extent that I have not seen these machines in a store on a shelf ever. I have never been to a friend's house and held a controller of them. For all intents and purposes, as far as I'm concerned, it could be an elaborate prank. These things may not exist.
Well, buddy, we're not chubby-cheeked middle schoolers anymore with big money daddy having Christmas gift givers. Okay. Surely our circles would be the kinds of console owners if we were still trying to rush through our homework so that we could go over to that person's house.
And to be fair, our mutual friend Dan did just get a PlayStation 5. So
yes.
one has entered the friend circle.
Right.
2 years after the fact, but
right.
It has happened.
I'm trying to say that your experience would be much different if you didn't have a Roth IRA.
I kind of disagree with you.
Prove it. And then we shrink down to prepubescence.
You're bringing up like the
because they're all playing the Minecraft
factor. You're bringing up like the monetary component.
Bringing up the fact that you are a 25-year-old man, 26-year-old man.
Yeah, I am 26 now.
26-year-old man saying, I can't believe the lack of console among my inner circles. And I'm saying, bro, go be 10 years younger. Your inner circle will be a lot different, console-wise.
Are you saying my inner circle has moved on from video games, or isn't the type to buy a console?
I'm saying if you were in 8th grade art class, as you were scratch and scoring this cookie jar pot project, we would be talking about, yo, did you play the latest Modern Warfare 2? Can you believe the part where you shoot the gun? And everyone would be talking about it because everyone would be the recipient of some nice Christmas gift or two and have one of these consoles. But because you're not an 8th grader in art class, you're a 26-year-old man, all you have is Dan. So yeah, you're saying, oh, I can't believe my tunnel vision is so tunneled. Like, what?
I don't know. I don't know if this tracks. I mean,
surely if you were in the right demo, you would see many a console amongst your mutuals.
Heath,
yeah, it's a phantom generation to you because you live in a haunted house.
Heath, I don't know, man.
What am I?
We're
speaking out of
producing
class?
The 77th episode of a video game podcast. What kind of social circle do you think I have? I hang out with fucking nerds. The type of people who play video games.
Oh, okay. So they of all people would be console owners.
Yes.
And you're saying that the lack thereof is indicative.
I think the reason they have not percolated to reach the people in my life,
hardware,
it's some combination of the supply constraints and COVID and the relative lack of necessity for them. Like, as a person who really cares about video games and plays a lot of them, the fact that I don't own a PlayStation 5 essentially means there's
prohibitive.
Like 3 or 4 games total I lack the ability to play.
Right.
Everything else is available on the PC or other platforms. Like, I can't play the Demon's Soul remake or the Ratchet and Clank game. And that's about it.
Astro's Playroom.
And you're right. I can't play the pack-in Astro's Playroom, and I can't currently play Returnal, but there is a heavily rumored PC port that is imminent. So, like, I'm sitting pretty here. Like, if I wanted to play Horizon Zero...
Yakuza Lost... what's the Yakuza game that's exclusive to the PlayStation that's being published by Xbox now?
Well, that's the thing. None of them are anymore.
Oh.
With the surprise release of Judgment and Lost Judgment on Steam, all Yakuza games are available.
That happened within the past. Okay.
So yeah, it's a lack of necessity is what I feel. Like I said, I haven't seen them on store shelves. These consoles have been hard to find, and you haven't really needed to find them unless you really cared about a small handful of titles.
But the titles that we care about are ubiquitous or pluripotent. What does that word mean?
Multi-platform?
Pluripotent. Giving rise to several different types. Never mind.
Yeah, even some of Sony's big prestigious first-party output, like
Infamous?
Horizon Forbidden West came out this year.
Yeah.
I could technically go home and play that right now on my PlayStation 4. They didn't section it off to be a PS5 exclusive.
Right.
This transition to the next generation has been like molasses. It's very slow. No one is really holding games hostage behind the shiny new hardware.
Tell that to Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, Nintendo.
The N-word.
Yeah, I mean, they're weird and like they're off cycle right now because the Switch is significantly older than either of Xbox or Sony's new consoles.
That's true.
So like, do I even consider that the current generation consoles? Probably, but it's an asterisk with Nintendo.
Okay.
And Xbox has abandoned the idea of exclusives altogether. All of their games are on PC. Even their flagship Halo Infinite, you can play it in its entirety on a computer. Don't need a new Xbox to do so. Many times I forget there is this latest generation of consoles that I have never touched, never seen, never interacted with, and I almost forget that they launched. That's what I meant when I said it feels like a phantom console generation.
Because whereas historically we clung to those milestones as generation defining.
Yeah. At this point in the cycle of a new console, I would be feeling some serious FOMO. I'd be like, oh man, I would like to play Bloodborne, but I've got to get that cool PS4 first.
Yeah.
Where it has not been to the same extent this time around.
Wait, Bloodborne's still region locked.
It is, yeah. Okay. That game's still locked away.
Yeah, console locked. Okay. And what do I think of this not true generation? It's friggin' awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a complaint from me either. It's nice not having FOMO. That's my point.
Yeah.
It feels like
if Elden Ring was locked away,
right?
I'd be Elden singing. No.
It's
agreed.
It's great not feeling like I'm missing out or need to go purchase new hardware. The only downside is,
well, you just purchased an HDMI cord worth more than my left shoe.
I've joined the next generation in the most expensive way possible. That is true and worth highlighting. It's just, growing up, like a new console coming out was the most exciting thing ever.
Like I said, 8th grade art class.
And that excitement is completely absent this time around.
No, it just
for me.
It's just like on a Cartesian plane. It's just shifted over to the excitement of like games coming out.
Yeah, it's the excitement.
Elden Ring is kind of nuts.
The excitement for hardware is absent. But yeah. Do you have any other
The excitement
points?
for hardware is absent. Meanwhile, we spent the first 20 minutes of this thing recalling your ice-cold sweat on your brow
console
on a Best
hardware.
Buy.
And I don't regret purchasing this GPU until I come home and find it melted. But
it's a puddle, yeah.
It definitely does not have the same level of thrill as plugging in a new console.
Well, yeah, because you're not a child anymore.
Well, it's also that I install the new GPU, I turn on my PC, and it is still the same old PC desktop I've seen every day for the past 2 years.
Especially you being a software developer.
Yeah. I'm still ostensibly using my same old PC, although on record, every component in my PC since I built it in 2015 has been replaced.
You ship a Theseus.
So it's a real ship of Theseus. I still think of it as my PC, but every component is different now. So is it a new PC now?
Ship of MSI.
Philosophers will never know.
Comment at mobius2podcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
But surely we'll get back to the days of exclusivity.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about exclusivity. What do you mean by that? Console exclusives?
Yeah. This age of everything, everywhere, all at the time. It's not gonna last forever.
Oh, you think we're in like a golden pocket?
Yeah.
You're just a skeptic. You don't think the good times can last.
Well, what did console exclusivity? It's born of competing market share, and that always holds value.
Yeah,
that's why Nintendo's still doing it.
Nintendo is the flag bearer of this practice still.
Yeah.
For the time being, Microsoft has totally abandoned it. Sony seems to be playing nicer. They're porting more and more of their games to the PC. Like the Uncharted games just arrived. And
wow.
Yes, they're on Steam. You can play Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy. Later this month, Spider-Man Miles Morales will be on PC to go along with its sibling game, the main Spider-Man one.
Yeah.
So Sony, I think their trajectory is trending to being more and more open.
To get everybody suckered in on the IPs that they love.
Yeah, I guess.
And then once hardware becomes cheaper to produce in the future, and we start getting diminishing returns on graphical output and, hardware, then we'll go back to, you can only play Miles Morales 2 on your PS6.
There is the case to be made that they also put Kratos on Steam.
This is how drug dealers get you addicted, is they give you your first sample for free and then you come back for more.
Yeah, they put God of War on Steam to get people to buy God of War Ragnarok maybe on the PS5.
Right.
To get the taste.
Right.
But if that was the case, when Returnal arrives on Steam and they just put Sackboy: A Big Adventure on Steam, they're putting games on Steam that don't have sequels coming. So I don't know. I feel like I don't see the signs that they would reverse course anytime soon. I think it's just Nintendo who doesn't want to play nice with multi-platform releases. That's my read of the situation anyway.
You'll never have the Christmas morning butterflies in your stomach as you once did now that exclusivity is over.
Yeah, I view this as a positive trend overall, for sure. This is one of my favorite things about the last couple of years, that game publishers have become more platform agnostic. We're getting closer to the one console future where just every game is available on the PC in some form or another. We're not there yet, but we're definitely trending in that direction, I feel. And that's a big plus. I'm happy for it as a PC player. Another big change was another thing that kind of ties into that is crossplay. The fact that you can be on a different platform and still play a multiplayer game with someone else. Something that 10 years ago would have been unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
That really divided friend groups back in the day.
Yes.
That's seemingly a thing of the past, so that's great. I wanted to ask you, how are your tastes being catered to these days? How enthusiastic are you about the games that are coming out? Do you feel good?
I kind of wish that no, I'm less than satisfied quite yet, because the games that do pique my interest are either have either an art style that's off-putting to those I would want to share the games with. This is getting really parasocial.
Okay.
But I wish that the games that are worth playing either have a distracting art style, problematic controls, or are just far too Japanese.
I was waiting for you to mention that.
Because oh, Ryoko Shinonome revealed the big thing, and that colors the gaming experience in a way that I want my games to all have T-Lopes music with Civilization 5 art and American voice acting. Then I will be happy.
And this is primarily due to you wanting to share the hobby with other people.
Right.
Got it. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that answer. Now,
what were you expecting?
I was kind of expecting you to be like, oh yeah, I love games that are coming out these days.
The only, aside from the fact that it's not completely out yet, the only reason I haven't touched Deltarune, aside from the fact that like the writing is so fun and it's super original and the music is great, is because it's still like a weird Mother 3 Undertale pixelated thing.
Yeah, it has a very retro aesthetic.
Yeah, and that's problematic for me.
Right. It would appeal to people who grew up as fans of video games.
If Deltarune looked like Inscription, oh boy.
Okay.
That would be tight.
Okay. The qualms you have with the games releasing right now that make it harder to share with people, is that a recent development, or has that always been the case?
It started being the case in 2017.
Okay.
I don't know, because like, just start naming games.
That came out when?
Yeah, it's like the indie thing.
Indie games are more prevalent. I guess what I'm asking is, these days, is it becoming hard? Are you less likely to be able to share a game with someone else successfully these days? Or had it been easier in the past?
It had been easier in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's trending towards the more obscure.
The more indie games, the more freedom indie games have, the greater the core concept and the more perverted the veneer, the facade that the core concept is dressed in.
I see. Now you keep mentioning indie games. Is there a dearth of AAA games you'd like feel compelled to show to people these days?
The most recent being Death Stranding, and even that, to the extent at which I liked the puzzle platforming core concept and the stealth and the what have you, the actual traversal. It's mired in the Kojima-ness. That's just the
That's his thing.
I'm equally praising the auteur for coming up with something I didn't even know I wanted, and also spiting myself, being like, but why did it have to be like that?
I see. Yeah, I'm just thinking, if we go back in time 5, 6, 7 years, where the indie game scene was definitely there, but maybe not as large.
What, like Portal?
And well supported.
No.
AAA games, I would feel like inherently would be easier to get other people in on, just because they do have the higher production values and the more appealing visual aesthetics.
Yeah.
They almost inherently, because of their larger
general
budgets,
appeal, yeah.
They need to appeal to a wider audience.
Right.
Where if you,
it's a blessing and a curse.
I might be putting words in your mouth here, but
that's ideal.
If you think the coolest, most innovative, most shareable ideas coming out of video games right now tend to come from the indie space instead of AAA, then the aesthetics being weird and low budget would start to become a more prevalent issue for you now. If the AAA games of today aren't worth showing off to other people because they just aren't as exciting or innovative.
That's true. Sorry, what was the wager?
Because you say it's harder to show people the games you're excited about these days.
Right.
And it sounds like the games you're excited about are tending to be an indie game more often than not.
Right.
With the lower production values and the uglier artwork.
Right.
Where maybe Heath 5-6 years ago was showing more people AAA games more often.
Heath 5-6 years ago was playing Red Dead Redemption.
Okay.
What was Heath playing 6 years ago? Name a game from that 5-6 years ago. Give me like a benchmark.
All right. If we're looking at like
Give me a landmark.
2016.
You act like this is immediately recallable in your file structure, like
I know games from 2016.
yeah, but yeah, you're saying you're assuming that I do.
Oh, okay. That was like Overwatch came out and Dishonored 2 came out.
Okay, yeah.
And
So agreed.
that was Titanfall 2, Battlefield 1, other stuff.
Okay.
Inside.
Yeah, that's an indie game.
That's an indie game.
That's awesome.
There we go. That was when No Man's Sky first came out.
Okay. Hey, yeah. Circling back to the point,
Yes.
which was Heath way back when enjoyed these types of games, and now he enjoys these types of games. And that's indicative of his satisfaction with the current generation. I feel like we've
Lost the thread.
Well, yeah, because I wanted to I wanted to set the scene a bit more, but now you're like, well, let's just talk about something else.
Okay. Well, I mean, you wanted to set the scene up for what?
What was the original question? It was like, how do you feel about...
The original question was, yeah.
How do I feel about the being catered to?
Right now.
Are they satisfying my needs? And then saying no, I would make this tweak and that tweak and that tweak.
Got it.
And you said, oh, but the Heath of 6-5-7 years ago, it was playing these types of games, and I was like, I don't recall, and then you helped me recall, and then we're here.
Yeah, the first thing I tried to narrow in on was because you listed your qualms from the games releasing today in 2022.
Yeah.
And then I was wondering, has this always been the case, or was there a time in the past where this wish list of criteria you want from the games today, did that used to be satisfied and it got worse, or was it always bad?
I think now my taste is refined, so I know what to want from an inside, what to want from a friggin' Jackbox Party Pack 7.
Maybe just your bar for quality has risen higher and higher.
Yeah.
Okay. That would make sense.
Yeah.
You know what you want more than ever, and it's that necessarily narrows down the list of games that actually fulfill it.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Well, I guess I'll jump in and say I am pretty well catered to. It helps to have broad taste. The past couple years were a little rough to get through. I felt like there were, and this could be a symptom of COVID, I felt like there were big dry spells, droughts with like almost no releases of consequence, especially in 2021 and this year, 2022. This year was feast or famine. Like early in the year, the Elden Ring month, we got a bunch of games. And then April, May, June, July, August, there was nothing. It was really not exciting to be a fan of video games during that time. There was a similar length drought last year in 2021 where I felt the exact same way. Like all the gaming podcasts I listened to every week were just not very entertaining to listen to because there was nothing going on. And I think there's two factors in play. I think some of that is the aftershock of COVID delaying games and release dates, pushing them back further and further so that we ended up getting those droughts. And then the other factor is I think development cycles are just ballooning very large for individual games. But this was a conversation topic we've had on an old episode, I think, where there was if I go back in time, I would say on average a game took about 3 years to make.
Yeah.
And I think it's well north of that. We're trending towards like 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
The scope of sequels.
GTA 6.
Yeah. That's like the example. GTA 5 came out in 2013. By the time GTA 6 arrives, it'll be a decade plus. Here's one of the key points I wanted to hit on. I think it is right now in 2022, it's a great time to be a fan of video games broadly, but not a great time to be a fan of individual video games because you end up waiting so long for new content / a sequel. Like if you are specifically a GTA fan, you've had a decade without a new release. It's crazy. If you're an Elder Scrolls fan, you're starving. It was 2011 we got Skyrim. So I feel well catered to. I feel bad for people who are massive fans of certain franchises because it is so hit or miss whether you end up getting a new release during an entire console generation. Like the only fans who are eating well right now are basically Yakuza fans. They're just gorging and on an all-you-can-eat buffet. But yeah, the development cycles are crazy. They're so long now. And it's because, obviously, developers feel this responsibility
Battle Royale fans.
one-up themselves. Oh, yeah, and that's more of a flash.
Smash Bros. Likes.
You're saying there aren't many of those?
No, dude, are you crazy?
There are lots.
We had Smash Bros.
Multiverses,
and then friggin'
the Nickelodeon
one, and then there's Rumbleverse.
Okay,
well, that's Battle Royale.
Got it.
But yeah, Smash clones, Battle Royale clones, Fall Guys. Yeah, no shortage.
Yes.
What was the gap between GTA 4 and GTA 5?
GTA 4 was 2008, so it was a 5-year gap.
Oh, okay.
And in the waiting period, GTA 4 fans got big story expansions, like Ballad of Gay Tony. But GTA 5 never got that story DLC because, of course, they supported the multiplayer.
Right.
So yeah. Well, I'm super curious. I want to see if there are big release droughts in 2023 and 2024. Because if there are not, and I feel like there are consistently things coming out at a nice clip, then I think what happened the past 2 years was primarily COVID's fault. And if the droughts do keep rearing their heads, then I think it's a development cycle problem and the fact that we're just waiting so long between games. Oh, you're queuing up the old.
Well, because I don't know what's coming in 2023. Looks like drought.
I know there's some stuff. We're getting Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in May.
Yep. Redfall.
Yes, Redfall. Also, this is also before we know what delays are going to happen in 2023. So some of the games that are ostensibly coming may not be.
But as far as the upcoming year, conserve your water.
Conserve your water. Okay. I think 2023 could be a good year. I'm still optimistic about it. Nintendo, I feel, got hit pretty hard the past 2 years as well. Japan was especially ill-prepared for the transition to remote work, and I think that shows in Nintendo's output. I haven't picked up my Switch in years. Nintendo's finally coming back with a vengeance right now.
My Switch is being played more than my PC.
Well, yeah, you're playing multi-platform games. I'm talking about Nintendo first-party games, first and second party.
Animal Crossing.
That was early 2020, my dude. That was 3 years ago.
Sorry.
That was their last hurrah before this. I mean, seriously, for the rest of between Animal Crossing and now, what were the big Nintendo releases? And my answer is
Mario's 30th anniversary.
a re-release of ancient games.
Yeah.
And Metroid Dread.
And maybe Mario Kart 8 Super Duper Pack 3.
DLC for an 8-year-old game?
Yeah.
They've had nothing. They're they finally recovered, and they're launching, Bayonetta 3, a new Fire Emblem, Zelda, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle 2, Sparks of Hope. They're finally back, but I felt Nintendo was missing in action for the full past 2 calendar years, and that hurt. So I'm citing reasons.
You say that hurt, but I didn't even notice.
Okay, well, congratulations. I noticed their absence, and it hurt. I've made me less excited to hear about what was going on in the video game industry.
Oh.
The duality of my video game experience right now is that I feel like we're coming out of a long dry spell. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But at the same time, just because I'm so behind the curve and I have this massive backlog of games, I wasn't suffering during the drought.
Yeah.
I had stuff to play. That's mainly a consequence of there being a glut of great stuff that happened before the drought.
Right.
That I was just catching up on. So it's a weird... I feel like I'm split. Like, I was well taken care of, but I feel like a lot of people who maybe only play games as they release, they've been having a rough time the past couple years.
Why would you only play games as they release?
Yeah, I mean, good point.
Oh my gosh.
I never do that, but cool. We've talked about a lot.
Imagine
of stuff.
only listening to music that's newly released.
Crazy.
You'd hit a banger once every 1,000 songs.
Let's see. There were a couple other things I felt were like...
Imagine if we had to play new music at every game night.
Ooh.
We'd suffer.
I would have to spend more time figuring out what to play than... No, what to play music-wise than what to play board game-wise. Yeah.
Yeah, unthinkable. Just play the old good bangers.
Right.
Just play Into the Breach again. In conclusion... The next generation will include the greatest game ever made, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker 2. In concert with the release of the new Mario movie, Captain Toad is back. It will go above... What's the highest rated game on Metacritic? The visual novel that's like starts with a P.
The House of Fata Morgana?
Yeah, Fata Morgana, right? Whatever that was. It will eclipse Fata Morgana on day one. What's it called when you go to GameStop and you reserve a game? Pre-orders?
Pre-order?
Yeah, pre-order. Thank you. Unlimited pre-orders.
I have one final closing question.
Uh-huh.
And this one's a vague question for sure. Do you feel like right now, 2022, this era of video games, do you feel like it has any kind of an identity?
Ooh, great question.
Feel free to think that over for a second.
No, I'll just shoot from the hip. What are you talking about? Well, hang on. This era 2022. Give me titles to associate with it. Give me.
We can also include, like the past couple years. Is this generation of games, is it going to have an identity of any sort? What will it be remembered for?
Right. This is our chance to coin fun. This is I don't know. You know how people will categorize sitcoms as like Seinfeldian? This is my moment. And I am gonna stick with it's the rehash.
The rehash.
The rehash.
Okay.
We're just rinsing, repeating. We're just playing the hits again. We're remaking the Resident Evils and the Silent Hills and the Call of Duties and the what else did I breeze past? The
Last of Us just got remade.
Yeah. Oh, that you want to talk about that? Whether or not it's what constitutes too soon for a remaster?
Was it warranted?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there's a rumor they're remaking the 2017 game Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that hasn't been announced yet.
Wild.
There's rumors.
Yeah.
That's too soon.
Yeah, you think so? Overwatch 2 is just Overwatch again.
Right.
I mean...
Oh, there was a podcast I was listening to that brought up this funny point. And it's partially true. But it's just the weird state of video games we're in right now. 2016, the Game of the Year awards, they gave the Game of the Year to Overwatch, a game you can no longer play.
Oh, that's funny. Oh my god. Yeah. That'll never happen again.
Imagine if you couldn't...
Game of the Year, unplayable.
Yeah, discontinued.
That's a fun piece of trivia.
It's wild. I mean, you kind of can play Overwatch. Overwatch 2 is like the resurrected corpse of Overwatch.
A physical copy would run.
But you maybe wouldn't get connected to anyone?
Right.
Yeah. It's just weird to think about.
But if I have to categorize this current era, 2022, it's really just the 2010s too. We're just doing it again.
Yeah.
Or not the 2010s, because obviously Resident Evil and Silent Hill and all these games that are getting remade. We're just putting new coats of paint on the same room.
It's a particularly nostalgic, navel-gazy time in video games.
Right, yeah. This is the in case you missed it.
Yeah.
Where we're just adding HD graphics, accessibility,
I think
cross-platformality.
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the previous generation...
I mean, there'll still be duds.
Oh, of course.
But for the most... And there'll still be break new ground breakers.
Yes. I think it's real easy to, especially since we have hindsight, paste an identity onto the last generation of consoles. That was the rise of live service games, ongoing games that live in perpetuity for years and years and years, your Destinies, your Fortnites.
The video game industry has become HGTV.
It's dead? Or no, sorry. I was thinking of G4.
No.
What's
G4, that channel is dead.
Yeah, that's dead.
Did it make it to a year or no? I think it was
the
just
revival.
shy.
Yeah.
No, HGTV, the channel that my mom watches about all these home renovations.
Okay.
That's
what we're in right now?
And I can just start. It's not one show. There's a million different shows in circulation that are all the same thing. Renovation Impossible, Flip or Flop, Love It or List It. They're all the same show. Watch us take this old house, make it a new house. This old house, make it a new house. They're all the same. They're slightly different tones. Some of these are beach properties. Some of these are colonial. Some of these are platformers. Some of these are shooters. But it's all, take this old house, make it a new house.
Fair point.
It's VGTV.
Oh, okay.
No. I mean, this is HGTV.
Oh, but our version
is video game TV.
yes.
VGTV.
Well, it was bold of you to make a prediction like that.
That's what I got. Take this old house, make it a new house.
Saints Row. Yep. Yeah, I was thinking an identity of where the industry is right now. I think we're in a big transition period that the fallout of which we still don't know looking ahead. We still don't know the ramifications of what's going on right now because we are in the middle of acquisition fever, I'll call it, with how much corporate consolidation is happening in video games right now. That wasn't the case even 3 years ago. Of course, we can point to big things like
Mojang?
Oh, that Microsoft acquired Mojang in 2014.
Which is
that's ancient history.
8 years ago.
But yeah, with this Activision Blizzard deal that's being debated and, Sony grabbing Bungie, all this stuff, you can see how much more competitive the acquisition landscape has got by just looking at prices. If we just flash back in time 3 years ago, Sony made a big purchase. They finally tied the ring and bought Insomniac Studios, makers of Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank.
Right.
Big, like hundreds and hundreds of people at that studio. They bought it for what now in hindsight looks like a paltry sum of $229 million.
Oh, they got it at a bargain.
At a bargain. These days, with how many big developers have been gobbled up, prices are through the roof. A comparable size developer Sony bought this year, they bought Bungie, which is similar in size to Insomniac.
Bungie's a little bigger.
Bungie is a little bigger. That's worth highlighting. But no, they didn't pay $229 million for Bungie like they did Insomniac. Suddenly, Bungie can command $3.5 billion.
Yeah, it's insane.
Acquisitions are out of control. It's all a recent development, so we don't know what like the far-reaching consequences will be of having all these game companies under these just couple big roofs. Will that be good or bad? Who can say? I think that's going to be a paradigm shift, as well as the lingering threat that is Game Pass and just playing.
Threat. It was your golden ticket a year ago.
It's still a great value. It just has me uneasy because I don't think the numbers add up. There's no way Microsoft is making more money on Game Pass than they would be selling these games a la carte. And they're not a charity. So like I'm just waiting at some point in the years in the future, the other shoe's going to drop. Phil Spencer released a quote 2 days ago, actually, where he said, we're going to have to raise prices. We're going to do it after the holidays, though. Yeah. And I'm so curious to see what those new prices would look like. He was referring,
what's the current price?
The current price to be a Game Pass subscriber is, I think, $10 a month.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, we're in a weird time where Sony increased the price of their PlayStation 5 consoles in a bunch of territories. Prices I feel like they're going to go up across the board. Yeah, Game Pass would be a very different way of consuming games than I'm used to. And maybe I shouldn't be afraid of change. I think we're definitely in a transition period, both in the industry at large.
And how will this affect the games I like?
Great question.
Because I don't think it will.
Yeah, maybe it'll be all roses and sunshine. Maybe I'm assuming you bought the Case of the Golden Idol.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll just appear on your cheap subscription service someday instead of needing to buy it.
Oh, weird. Oh, that would get me to dip into a subscription service.
Right. I'm curious how much the industry embraces subscription services. Will Game Pass just be this? It's been going for years and years now.
If Inscription was in subscription.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I wonder if Game Pass will still be around 5 years from now. What it will look like.
Yeah.
Is it going to carve out a bigger share of the market? Will it finally die? I think Microsoft, it's a loss leader. Like, it's barely breaking
We've talked
even.
about this.
Yeah, we have. At what point do they flip the switch and start making money?
After the holidays.
So curious when they finally do it.
Look at Phil. You just said Phil after the holidays.
He did say they're going to raise prices.
We're going to start making profits after the holidays.
Yeah. All right. I promised this conversation topic would meander.
And you delivered.
And I delivered. Do you have anything else, Heath?
I just want to play Frostpunk now.
Oh, okay. Or will you be doing the last autumn or base game?
Yeah, I'm gonna see how true to my words the last autumn was.
I hope this isn't our last autumn.
What? Was that an ecological joke? What?
Yeah, just a general joke. Very funny. Should we do closing statements and sign off?
Folks, if you want to write in and talk about what's your favorite Marcus Phoenix voice line, you can do so at MobiusTubesPodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. MobiusTubesPodcast@gmail.com. It was brought to my attention. Maybe don't follow us on Twitter since I think we're hacked.
I don't know why I changed the password. How can you still be hacked?
Yeah, I don't know, unless it's like a bot or something.
But how could a bot...
Right. I would have suspected changing the password would be fine.
Yeah.
But
Do I need to do so on a different machine in incognito mode?
it's not like we were really using the Twitter anyway. It's not that big of a loss.
Yeah.
But
Don't follow us on
don't
Twitter.
follow us on Twitter. Unfollow.
Chris, what are you doing after this?
I'm going to the gym, and then I'm gonna maybe finish Gears 5.
Are they teeing up for a sequel?
So I haven't seen the ending, but I heard there is a cliffhanger.
Uh-huh.
So Gears 6, or will they go with
It'd be War 6.
War 6? You're right. New naming convention.
Of 7.
That's my plan. Gears, probably some more Monster Train, and then the exciting thing is
Persona on PC.
that is exciting. You're right.
The co playthrough
Oh man,
where we both played at April or whatever. I don't know what it is.
yes. We have to synchronize. Always be on the same day in game.
At what point can I stop playing Persona and know what Persona is like?
Probably just finish.
Just after the
first palace. Yeah. Kamoshida,
okay.
the gym coach.
Cancel the gym teacher. Okay.
Yes.
All
Once he's been sufficiently canceled, you'll know what Persona is.
But you haven't even met all the girls yet.
Right. But to be fair, you don't meet all the girls until you're like 75 hours in.
Why am I playing this game then?
They introduced them at a slow clip, let me tell you.
For the Pokemon battles? I do like Pokemon battles.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
All right, we should end this podcast.
Yes, let's end the show. Thanks for sticking with us for all 2+ hours, and catch you next time.
It's going to be sub 2.
All right, for the roughly 2 hours.
It's going to be hit 2 hours right now.
See ya.